Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining our Evolve 365 Microsoft Tips and Tricks session today. We wanted to start this weekly series to give simple and easy tips that anyone can go back to their desk and quickly implement. We know your time is valuable, so we strive to keep sessions to no more than 30 minutes, sometimes less. We also push the topics out monthly, so you only have to sign up once for the monthly series instead of 4 or 5 times. If you ever miss a session, you can find the recordings on our Planet Technologies YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/Planet Technologies. So a little about myself. I'm your host, Tanya Kaiser. I have more than 15 years experience with project management across multiple industries, including technology, legal, nonprofit, and construction. I'm also a longtime Microsoft geek and SharePoint nerd. One of the things that I enjoy is helping others learn new skills, whether it be with applications they use every day like Office or something completely new to them like SharePoint. If you ever have any questions after a session, please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or LinkedIn or send me an email. So a little about Planet. Planet Technologies has been providing expert support in the Microsoft world for over 18 years. We offer full services for the entire Microsoft Cloud and Productivity Suite, including advisory, deployment, and training services, mobile application development and solutions, and strategic business consulting, including technology, compliance, and security guidance. So now that our intros are out of the way, we're going to jump right in. This week we're going to take a look at Windows 10. A lot of different organizations are now starting to look at Windows 10 for their next deployment of operating systems. A lot of orgs were on Windows 7 and skipped Windows 8 altogether, but now that Windows 10 has been out for a full year, they're really starting to look at it. So today we're going to look at some of the built-in features and customizations that you can do to get your operating system working the way you'd like it to. Now, one of the most important things that I love about Windows 10 is Microsoft really took to heart a lot of the feedback that they had from users, both from Windows 7, but primarily from Windows 8. So Windows 8 was one of those operating systems that kind of sat in between. You could tell that they changed some things, but it looked like a lot of it was not thought through completely or just put together and didn't really take into consideration user feedback. With Windows 10, Microsoft has taken all of that information, put it into Windows 10, and it's designed it to make it just easier for the end user. The big change is the Start button is back where people want it, and it's the main hub for all of your activity. So, such a minor change for people who are used to Windows, having that Start menu and that Start button go away in Windows 8 was a big just no-no for them. That is back and brand new where it's supposed to be. And the Start menu, a lot of people don't realize in Windows 10, you have these live tiles and you have a lot of flexibility with that Start menu. You can resize it, you can pin and unpin applications like Word and Excel, you can completely resize the tiles themselves, but you can also pin settings menu to the Start menu too. So if you're used to using things within Windows that you always have to go through the control panel or one of the system menus, you can now have that on your Start menu. We have the other menus available in Windows 10. There's a sidebar that will expand and show you all of the apps, your File Explorer, and then your settings. And then, of course, the Start menu itself, you can right-click on and get a lot of system settings. So that's the first thing that we're going to take a look at. Now, this is going to be a different little demo than what we've done before. We're not going out to a website or opening up an app. We're working directly in the operating system. So I'm just going to press my Start button. Now, this is a brand new demo account, so if this is going to mimic what a brand new user to Windows 10 would face. Right away, if we press our Start button, we can see we've got our menu here, little sidebar. We see File Explorer, Settings, Power, and then All Apps. Then we can also see we've got our live tiles here. Now, since this is a brand new account, you see a lot of the Microsoft stuff built in. I'm running this demo as if I just did a regular install with Windows 10. Of course, many organizations have a wide range of choices in how they push out Windows 10, so they may do their own custom image and you may not see any of this, but this would be a brand new default Windows 10. So this Start menu, like I said, you can actually resize it, and a lot of people don't realize that. So if I wanted it to be smaller or larger, depending on how many tiles I have, I can come in and resize this. Maybe I don't want a lot of tiles and I'm going to start removing some and I just want it slim and narrow. You have that flexibility. I mentioned pinning and unpinning apps. The first thing I always do is come in and unpin all of the Microsoft stuff. So you can see they've got the Store app, they've got Xbox, they've got News here. You'll notice some of these tiles are different sizes. So right away you can just right-click, say Unpin from Start, and start removing these items if you don't want them on your menu. Now, if you're not a fan of the tiles view and you really don't want any tiles, you could go through and just unpin all of these and get rid of this tile view. You can also resize, so I can come in and make some items smaller. This one is a solitaire collection, and oddly enough in Windows 10 you have to pay for some versions of the solitaire if you're a big solitaire player. So that's, again, your choice. I just tend to unpin all of the stuff that I'm not using. Get Office is a reminder. If you haven't purchased Office yet, you can come in here and get it. That's its own icon just for that. You can see really quickly, I've just, by clicking a few times, completely adjusted my Start menu. Now we also have the built-in Windows 10 apps. So the Calendar app and Mail app, those are Windows 10 apps. It's not the client applications that we're used to, like Outlook, that has a full fleshed out email client. Some people use them, some people don't. You can, again, unpin that. You can turn the live tile off, and you can also just pin it to your taskbar. So again, a lot of these little choices in here that you can make to get your Start menu exactly the way you want it. Now, the default browser is Edge, but built into the Windows button, you do have Internet Explorer. So that's one of the first things that I usually come up and say, pin to start. And then if I go back to my Start menu, I can then come in and I can move this tile wherever I like, and you can see the tiles will adjust. So people were probably familiar with the pin and unpin. They may not have realized that they can size stuff. And then one of the other things is you can pin settings menus to that. So if I go into System Settings, and I can see, I've got a cleaner settings menu here. This may be a little different for some people who are used to going through the control panel and stuff, but once you start to click around, it becomes very familiar and really easy to use. But maybe one of the things that I like to use pretty often is airplane mode because I travel a lot. Instead of going to the settings menu, I can right-click on that setting and say pin to start, and then that's now going to be in my Start menu. And again, I can come in and I can move this tile around, I can resize them, so it gives me a lot of opportunity there to come in and move things around. Really, really easy to get stuff on your Start menu and resize it. Now, if we go to our desktop, so if we go all the way and show our desktop, let me close out the settings menu. One of the other things is that sidebar. So you'll see File Explorer Power and then All Apps. And now the All Apps view is really, really great to find all of the applications that you have actually installed. You can see they have the OneNote Windows 10 app there, but maybe I like the client version better. So I can come in, unpin the Windows 10 one, and then pin the OneNote. So this is where your apps are going to be if you're not finding them in your Start menu. So you can just scroll through and start adding them on there, whichever ones you want. Of course, Visio, Word, your most popular ones that you're going to use, you can just come in and click and keep pinning them to start. The other area that you'll notice is your taskbar. So they have the Windows Store icon on there by default. Again, you can right-click, unpin it. They've got Edge. They always want you to use Edge as your default. So you can really customize your Start menu and your taskbar to be exactly what you want it. And I've just come through really quickly and pinned a few things here. You'll notice that my color is blue. I haven't changed my theme, but if I wanted to come in and change the theme, if I went into that settings menu by clicking back or just by typing theme, it's going to give me a pop-up and I can personalize the colors on my screen. You also got some high contrast options, which was pushed out with the Windows 10 anniversary update. That's actually something that people were really, really asking for. They wanted a high contrast theme and they wanted a dark theme. So if I've got the Windows theme, everything's kind of blue. If I wanted to come in and change it to flowers, it's going to do that. But then it's also going to change my Start icons. Let me go ahead and apply that. And you'll notice now my colors have changed. So if you don't like that Microsoft blue color, the minute you change your theme, your live tiles are going to change. If you have a custom background, you can also pick that color as well in the Systems menu. So taking a really close look, again, that's just the Start menu, how you can resize it, pin and unpin apps. If you want to completely get rid of all of the tiles, you would just go through and unpin them on. You'd have more of that classic Start menu that you're used to from Windows 7. You can always resize the app tiles, small, medium, or wide. Then you can pin other settings menus to the Start menu as well, like airplane mode. If you have particular network settings, all of those can be pinned as well. And then again, you always have that sidebar menu with all the apps listed, the File Explorer and settings. And then you can always right-click on the Start menu to bring up all of those system settings. So the next thing that I want to show is a lot of the built-in tools. Now, some of these have been around in Windows for quite a while, but some people are not familiar with them. And then some of them are brand new to Windows 10. I'm going to go through these in our demo really shortly, but I'll run through them. So character map is one that I've used for years. This has been around in Windows for a while. You can find a character in any font, including symbols. This is really, really helpful if you're an organization who works with a lot of legal documentation and maybe you're using things that are just not on the regular keyboard, like a section symbol. If you do any large document and you're doing documentation on how to format something and you need to show the paragraph mark, the character map will let you find those symbols really easily in any font, and then it also gives you the shortcut for the keyboard command. So if you're a keyboard shortcut person, it's a great tool to learn those. Screenshots. There's been a built-in snipping tool in Windows for quite a while, but now with Windows 10 we do have Snip, which is another add-on that you can download. And these are really useful for doing simple screenshots if you don't have any other third-party apps like I showed last week with Snagit, and you don't want to use just the print screen button. Some keyboards don't even have print screen on the keyboard anymore. My Surface Pro 3 keyboard doesn't have that print screen button, so it's great to know that the snipping tool is there as a backup. You can also do recordings. So this is brand new to Windows 10. They have the game bar. This is meant to tie in with Xbox, but you can use it to record applications. So that's a really neat feature that you can take advantage of in Windows 10, whether or not you have it connected to an Xbox account. There's also Steps Recorder. Now this was introduced with Windows 7. It was called Problem Step Recorder, and it allows you to record all of the clicks that you're taking as you go through an application. It's a great tool to use when you're building out how-to documentation, or if you're trying to do some troubleshooting and you really want to show them, like, I'm clicking this and this is what's happening. It's not going to give you a video recording, but it's going to log every click on a menu that you take and then accompany each one with a screenshot. And then completely brand new to Windows 10 are virtual desktops, which are a really, really neat feature. So virtual desktop allows you to work on different projects or tasks in different desktops on the same machine. If you've ever used a virtual machine, this is different. This is just giving you a space where you can organize your projects. The example I always give is if I'm researching, a Windows 10 deployment in one browser, but then I have a completely separate task in a separate browser, and I'm researching, an upcoming conference. Maybe I really want to segregate those. I can put them on different desktops. You can move between the desktops really easily using the keyboard command or the task view icon, which I'm going to show you. Then you can even move apps between desktops. So that's a great feature in Windows 10. We're going to take a look at some of those items really quickly. So again, I'm going to go back to my Start button. We have our live tiles, we have our menus, we have our sidebar here. I mentioned how you can right-click and you can see some of the system menus here. But now we're going to go into actually all apps, and I'm going to show you where you get your character map. So character map, it is one that's been there for a while. In Windows 10, you find it under Windows Accessories. So this is just part of the built-in stuff that comes with Windows. And you can see it's right there. And since I do use this pretty frequently, I'm going to pin that to my Start menu. Now we also talked about the built-in snipping tool. I'm going to go down and pin that to Start, and you can see there's Step Recorder there as well. Now I generally don't have that, but for our purposes, so it's easier to get to, I'm going to pin those all to Start. Now what you don't see in here is the game recorder, and I'm going to show you how to get to that in a little bit, but you can see we have that Xbox icon there. So for the character map, if I open that up, it's just going to give me a little program, and you can see that I can select the font. Let me pull this over to the screen. It is a small window. Again, this has been around for a while, so you can't really resize it. There's not a lot of features here. You're literally just looking at, under the Arial font, what are all the different keyboard characters, symbols that I have. So you can scroll down and you can see there's that paragraph mark. If I want to actually show that in documentation, I can show that. Here's the, the section sign, which is used a lot in legal documentation. Of course, a lot of these, it's going to be just the regular keyboard, so you can see there's the commercial one, but if you see the paragraph mark, it gives you the actual keystroke. So if I'm typing on a keyboard and I just hit Alt 0182 without leaving my keyboard and going Insert Symbol on the menu or opening up Character Map, you can see I can have the option to select and then copy it. If I learn that keystroke, I can do it directly from my keyboard while I'm typing. So again, if there's certain symbols that you use repeatedly in your organization or in the work that you do, this is a great place to come once, find out what the keyboard shortcut is, and then work that into your skill set. So I can scroll down and I can see all of the different symbols here, but I can also change fonts. So if I come in and maybe I want to see what symbols they have in the built-in Microsoft font that Microsoft uses all the time, I can just continue scrolling through this. You've got a lot of the phonetic fonts in here. some symbols you can see, so there's a 1 and I can select and copy them and paste them, but it's a really, really neat way to get a look at all the possible symbols in the specific font you're using without having to go through this insert and symbol menu on Word or whatever application you're using. That symbol menu within the applications like Word and Excel and Outlook will only give you so many symbols. So if you know that there's one there, this is the way to look at it through Character Map. And again, you can always pin this to your Start button. Now, the screen snipping tool, I'm going to go back to my Start button, and I'm actually going to open up Word just so we have something to show when we do our screen snipping. I'm just going to open up a blank document. And I mentioned, right, on the Insert menu, we do have symbol, and there's a selection of them, and I can always open more symbols. And you can see it's going to give me that same view, but I have to be in an application to access that. If I'm in the character map, I can see it wherever. So the snipping tool is a really neat feature. You just open that up, and you get a little menu here, and you just click New, and I can just come in and, again, take a screenshot, and it's going to open that up for me. And you can see I've got some basic tools I can highlight. Maybe I want to show them that they have to open Special Characters menu, and then maybe I want to show them that they insert that. It's pretty basic. There's not a lot of granular control in it. I can come in and I can circle items if I wanted to, but you can see it's not nice and neat the way Snagit is. But again, it's a built-in tool and it's great to use in a pinch. I'm going to say no, I don't want to save that. The other thing that you can show with the snipping tool, let me go back and open that up again, is it has a delay menu. So maybe you want to take a screenshot of something and you can specify in 2 seconds I want this to delay. So I'm going to say New, and then I'm going to come over to Symbol, and then I'm going to say More Symbols, and it captures that drop-down menu. So that's a really great feature that I love about the snipping tool. That's really easy to use because it's hard to do that without using print screen button, and you have to crop things. So it captured that delayed menu right away. So again, built-in tool, great to use for the snipping tool. You can add it to your Start menu if you want. Now the other one, I'll open up a browser for this really quickly, is called Snip. Now this is a preview tool, so this is only available for you to go out to a website, and it's actually part of the Microsoft Mix project. So I'm going to go into this website really quick, mix.office.com. And if you've never heard about this, this is where they do some of their, beta versions. Now I'm going to type in the full URL so I can get to the Snip tool. But this is just, again, another little snipping tool. It's very, very similar. You can snip it, you can annotate it. The thing I like about Snip is that it does let you do a little bit more. So you can do some recordings with it. And it's a really light download. I mean, if I come in and I download it really quickly, it's going to be pretty easy to install. So if you do a search and you just search for a Microsoft Office Snip, it's in a preview, but again, you'll have this available to you. Now, I do have this installed on this machine, but it's not installed on this demo account, so we'll see if it's going to let me install it really quickly, and if not, we'll move along. So again, this is part of Windows 10, but it's a preview one. You have that snipping tool built in. The Snip tool, you can go out and download it. Doesn't look like it's running the download, so we'll just move on to the next one. And this allows you to do recordings. But remember, I mentioned that within Windows 10, you do have built-in recordings already. So one of those is the game bar. Now, this is a keyboard command, and this is, again, it's originally meant to tie into Xbox so people can record their gameplay and post it to YouTube or their Twitch channel or stream it. But you can use it to record things within a program. So I'm going to put some sample text in our Word document, and we'll just say, that we're going to be typing a heading. But maybe I want to record how to format this. So if I use the keyboard shortcut, the Windows key and G, it should pull up my game bar. And it may not be installed on this account. But Windows G brings up the recording. Now the other thing that I can do is the steps recorder. So let me try one more time to see if we can get our game bar to record, and it doesn't look like it's working. So I may record a short video to add on, but if you have the game bar set up on your account, and it's installed on most, I have it on my Surface Pro 3, I have it on my other Dell machine, Windows G will bring up that recording menu. So I'll have to look and see, maybe I need to set it up on the system settings. Now the other thing that we can use is our steps recorder. And again, you're going to get this little pop-up menu. And you can see there's just a start record button. So if I start recording, it's going to record every single click in there. You can see that little red highlight. Maybe I want to format this line as a heading. Maybe I want to move up and make this a heading. And then you just click stop record, and it'll pull up with the menu, and I can actually expand this one. And it's just going to show you the recorded steps. Now I have 2 monitors going here. It will record that second monitor, but you can see that it's telling me I left click on the home tab, document 1, and it's just recording every single step. So if you do any kind of documentation where you're having to do a lot of screenshots, you have some built-in tools to work with. You have the snipping tool, you have steps recorder, and I can come in and select these and then crop them as I need to. So that's one really nice thing about the steps recorder. And you can go down to the bottom, and it gives you a synopsis about what's my operating system, what I actually did, what the details were. So this is also a really great troubleshooting tool. This is built into Windows 10, so if you're working with the user and you're trying to help them figure out something, or you're even trying to show a coworker how to do something, you can go in and just on the Windows button, search is really great now. You can say steps recorder, it pulls it up right away. They won't know that that's there if they've never heard of it. Just tell them, click that, start recording, do your steps, and then stop recording, and then send me that file. And you can see I have the option to save it. There's a help menu here, but then it's easy to email off to somebody. I'm not going to save that one. I'm just going to say no. So that's a great tool that's built in. Now the other thing that we mentioned was our virtual desktops, and this is brand new to Windows 10. So the snipping tool has been hanging out for a while. Character map has been there for a long time. The steps recorder, it was called Problem Step Recorder in Windows 7, has been there for a couple of releases. Virtual desktops are completely brand new. Now there's a few different ways you can get to a virtual desktop. You have this new icon on your taskbar, and you can see it pops out a little bit if you hover over it, and it says Task View. And that actually shows you your different desktops. So you may have seen my screen change slightly. I'm now on my second desktop. You don't see any of the open applications at the bottom, but I can come in and start brand new applications now. So this is one thing that I really, really do love about Windows 10. So again, don't have any of my applications on the taskbar. This is a brand new desktop. I can come over here, and maybe now I want to open up a completely different browser window. Maybe I want to open up Word and start working in a completely different document. Maybe I'm doing some photo editing, so a lot of variations that you can use the virtual desktops for. You're not limited to, as far as I know, I think there's just a screen issue. If you opened up a bunch of these, it'd probably be a little confusing. I've opened up to 5 virtual desktops at a time for different projects. And the way you do that is you just hit that task view icon. You can see desktop 1, desktop 2. And then over in the right-hand corner, I have a button for new desktop. Now again, I can come in here and you can see that if I select my desktop 1, I can then go directly to my program. But I've got all these different virtual desktops that I can move around. Now I can also come in, right-click, and say move this application to desktop 2. So not only do you get a virtual desktop, it's really easy to move applications between desktops. So you're not tied down to it. Well, I'm only working in this Word document in desktop 1, but now I'm changing task and I really need the same document to go over to desktop 2, where maybe I'm working on the next stage of a project. But this is a really great feature within Windows 10. I'm really, really happy that they worked this in. Now to change between desktops, you can again always go to the task view. Of course, there are some keyboard shortcuts to switch between. You can always use Win and Tab, and you can see that I can switch between those. And for me, the easiest right now is to use the Windows tab, but again, some people, you've got that icon there. Now, if you accidentally remove that icon, you should be able to go back and add it in just like you normally would any of the other settings. So again, those are some of the features that are brand new to Windows 10 and also built in. The character map's been there for a while. Screenshots, snipping tool, you have the brand new snip one that you can go download. Recordings, didn't get to show the game bar today. I can tell you we maybe do that a separate one on other Windows 10 topics, but you do have the steps recorder as well, and then the virtual desktop, allowing you to work in different desktops, slightly different, not a virtual machine. You're on the same machine, but it lets you segregate your projects. You can easily move applications, and you can move between desktops pretty easily. And if you saw on that task view, if I wanted to close those out, I've got that X button. So 3 is blank right now. I can just switch back to that. So those are some of the new features within Windows 10 that I was pretty happy to see. So the other things that I want to talk about before we wrap up is some other customizations and just things to consider. This looks like a long list, but there are little tweaks that you can make to make sure Windows 10 is doing what you want it to do. One of the things that I did notice right away when I had my Windows 10 upgrade on my personal machines is that a lot of my default application associations were not necessarily lost, but they completely reset. So that means, I want my default application for email to be Outlook, not the Windows 10 email client. I want my default web browser to be Firefox, not Edge. So you want to go in and you want to make sure to set those up. The other thing that I noticed about Windows 10, if I come in and I click my power button, is if I have an update pending, you only have the option to update and shut down. You don't really get the option to just shut down. So that's been a little bit of an irritation that I had specifically with my Surface Pro 3. So what I did is I went into my power options and made my actual power button just an update button. So that may be something you want to set up. It's easy to do if you're tied to a desktop, but if you're using a mobile device, a laptop or a Surface Pro or some other mobile notebook and you just got to get up and go, having that ability to just shut down is a great feature. One of the defaults is Quick Access View and File Explorer. Some people either love or hate that. You can turn that off. And again, one of the things that I love is you can switch between your mics and speakers really, really easily. And the last item that I'll mention is if you're running one of the newer machines with a solid-state drive and you've got maybe a lighter processor because it is a Surface Pro 3, you can easily keep an eye on all of your storage and your background apps that are running. So I'm going to show these pretty quickly so we can go through the time. But for one of the things that I love about Windows 10 is search is really, really easy. So you can just hit the Windows button and start typing. You can see there's default programs and then default app settings. And you can scroll in. I'm already at that menu. And then again, you can see I've got a default for calendar. I've got a default for email. And I just come in and I select I want that to be Outlook. If I scroll down for my browser, I come in and I select I want that to be Firefox. You can even go to the bottom here and say by file type. So you can see all the different kinds of file types you can set a default for. One of the ones that I usually default is for PDFs, if it'll let me scroll down to PDF. Let me go back up just a little bit. So for PDF, I always like to make sure that it opens within Acrobat and not the actual browser. That's just, again, a personal preference. If you're on a website and you get that PDF, I like for it to open outside of the browser. So again, you can go down this level of detail, but at the very basics, you want to come in and pick your defaults for email and for your calendar items. Now, the other thing that we had mentioned, we're already in our settings menu, so we can go to power and sleep. You can see, on the screen, on battery power, and this is one of the areas where you can change that option to have your power button be a shutdown thing. You would click additional power settings, and it's going to open up that menu for you. And then, it's the menu where it says choose what closing the lid does, choose what the power buttons does. So on mine, if I'm on battery and I press the power button, I actually have it shut down. And that turns my power button into just shut down. So I no longer have to struggle with that update and shut down button. Again, you may not have a need for that if you've got a machine like a desktop that you really don't take mobile for you. Now, the other area that we wanted to show is File Explorer. So File Explorer has this great view for quick access, and it's going to change over time. You can see I've got ones pinned here, so if I want to unpin my pictures menu, I can go ahead and unpin that. But the other thing is this menu will change over time with listing your recent folder. So if there's a folder I always go into, it's going to be shown here in quick access. Some people love this option. Some people don't like it because it causes confusion where they're actually at in their file system. Really, really easy way to turn that off. You go into your View menu, Options, and then Change Folder and Search options. And once this opens, you can see that you have Open File Explorer 2. Instead of Quick Access, you just make it this PC. So if you don't like that quick access there, you can easily remove that. The other thing that I mentioned, let me close out File Explorer, we're on our desktop, is it's really, really easy to switch between, let me go back to my desktop really quickly, your mics. So if I can get my Start menu to pop up here, let me just go ahead and open up a starting menu. This volume icon used to just control sound, But if you notice, I've just got one speaker plugged in. When you have more than one set of speakers, you'll have a little up arrow here that'll let you switch between them. So if you've got computer speakers, a microphone, more than one, it's going to let you go back and forth between those really, really easily. And then the last thing in the settings menu that I wanted to show is the storage. So if we go into our system settings, we're going to go into storage, and this is great for lighter machines with a solid-state drive, or lighter machines like a Surface Pro 3 that maybe has a lighter processor. You can scroll down, you can see all of the storage on this. If you have multiple drives, it'll let you select that, but once you click into that, it's going to give you a view of which applications are using the storage, which folders, so a really, really great overview. You can even click further into apps, and it's going to take a while to populate. You can see all of my different apps. So this is one new thing about Windows 10. You know, you wouldn't think that you could click into some of these items, but if you just click, it may open up another menu. So you can get really deep, really easily into a lot of these settings within Windows. The other thing I mentioned was background applications. That's actually in the system setting menu under privacy, but very, very same concept. You know, you can see your background apps and you can turn them off and on. You know, do you really need all of these running in the background? So that's a quick dive into Windows 10 settings. There's a lot of other little features that you can turn on or off or tweak a little bit within Windows 10. I'm probably going to be adding more Windows 10 topics in November. We've already got our October topics ready to push out. But if there's something specific you want to look at in Windows 10, shoot me a tweet or an email. Let me know which one you're talking about, and we can definitely add that to our item. Now, very much like Office 365, Windows 10 does have updates. We just had the really large anniversary update. And this is something that organizations struggle with if they're running an out-of-the-box install or just letting their users know what they can change within operating systems in Office. Evolve 365 is our subscription-based help desk as a service. For Microsoft Office 365, it's designed to help increase your end-user adoption and help your organization be more productive. We have thousands of on-demand self-help videos, and we do have videos on Windows 7 and 10. We also have 8, but a lot of organizations, like I said, are jumping straight from 7 to 10. So if this is something that you think may help your end users, we do have a free trial available. We have a lot of sample content on the free trial. Now, we have over 27,000 videos, but on the trial site, you'll see about 200. You can get the look and feel experience for them. So if you're interested in that free trial, you can go to freetrial.o365support.com to find out more information. You can always visit our website to learn a little bit more about Evolve 365 at o365support.com. And you can also send us an email at info@o365support.com. If you're specifically interested in Windows 10, you won't find those on our trial site, but send us an email and we can send you some links to some Windows 10 videos to show you what they look like. Now we're in our September series. We just finished up Windows 10. Next week we're going to talk about some of the SharePoint updates like modern lists. We're getting ready to push out our October events. Of course, you can always find our recordings on our YouTube channel. And we also have the first annual Office 365 Summit for Government coming up next week on October 6th in Washington, D.C. If you're interested in attending that, registration is free for government members, and you can find more information at o365summit.com. I hope this little peek into Windows 10 has been helpful for some people. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to send me a tweet or email or reach out to me on LinkedIn. We will be adding more Windows 10 sessions in November, but again, if there's something that you want to take a closer look at, please let us know. Hope this was helpful to everyone today, and I hope to see you back next week.